Sir Warrior. They found him in a cardboard box on the side of a rural road, Philadelphia, February 1957. Naked, bruised, his hair freshly cut. A boy, maybe 4 years old. No identification, no missing persons report. No one ever came looking. The box had once held a bassinet, a JC Penney baby cradle, shipped to an address investigators would later trace. But the boy inside wasn't a baby. He weighed around 30 pounds. His body showed signs of severe malnourishment, scars on his ankle, his groin, his chin. Someone had bathed him recently. Someone had cut his hair, clumsily, in uneven patches. And then someone had wrapped him in a flannel blanket and left him on Susquehanna Road, inside that box, 15 feet from the pavement. A college student spotted the box while checking his muskrat traps. He saw it, saw what was inside, and kept walking. He didn't report it. He later said he didn't want to get involved. It wasn't until days later, when a different passerby called police, that investigators arrived. The Philadelphia Police Department opened the case immediately. They photographed him, fingerprinted him, embalmed his body and kept it preserved, hoping someone would recognize him. They called him the boy in the box, officially America's unknown child. They printed flyers with his photograph and distributed them across the city. They sent copies to police stations nationwide. They showed his face on television, in newspapers, in post offices. 400,000 flyers, not a single credible identification. The autopsy revealed more questions than answers. Cause of death, blows to the head. But the pathologist noted something else. The boy's stomach was empty, but showed signs of recent food intake. Baked beans, the medical examiner concluded, based on the contents. His fingernails and toenails had been trimmed after death. His hair had been cut poorly, sometime shortly before or after he died. There was no evidence of sexual assault, but the scars on his body suggested chronic abuse. One scar on his groin was consistent with a hernia repair. Yet no hospital in the region had records of treating a boy matching his description. Investigators searched for weeks. They canvassed the neighborhood around Susquehanna Road. They questioned residents. They checked missing persons reports from surrounding states. Nothing. One foster home near the site was investigated, but the lead went nowhere. One theory emerged early. The boy had been kept hidden, possibly for years, by someone who never reported his existence. No birth certificate, no school enrollment, no medical records, a child invisible to every system designed to notice him. But here's where it gets strange. The flannel blanket wrapped around the boy's body had a distinctive pattern, a design that was later traced to a specific manufacturer. Investigators determined it was sold exclusively in the Philadelphia area. The Bassinet Box came from a JC Penney store. Shipping records were checked. The address led to a home. The residents denied any knowledge of the boy. No evidence tied them to the crime. The trail ended there. For decades, the case went cold, but investigators never stopped working it. In 1998, a woman named Martha came forward with a story. She claimed that in 1954, her abusive mother had purchased a boy from his biological parents. The boy, she said, was kept in their basement. He was malnourished, beaten, never allowed outside. One day, Martha said, her mother flew into a rage after the boy vomited up his dinner. She threw him against the floor. He didn't get up. Martha's mother bathed the body, cut his hair, and drove him to Susquehanna Road. The details matched. The timeline matched. But there was a problem. Martha couldn't provide verifiable proof. She couldn't name the boy. She couldn't identify the biological parents. Investigators searched the property she described. They excavated the basement.
They found nothing conclusive. Forensic psychologists later questioned her credibility. Some believed her account was based on real trauma, but embellished or confused with other events. Others dismissed it entirely. The case remained officially unsolved. In 2002, the boy's body was exhumed. DNA was extracted. Investigators hoped advances in genetic testing could finally give him a name. They uploaded his profile to national databases. They checked against missing persons records. No match. In 2019, a genetic genealogy company took another look. They built a family tree using distant DNA relatives. They identified possible branches, but the trail kept fragmenting. Too many gaps, too many generations lost to time. And then came something nobody expected. A police officer admitted decades later that the original crime scene had been disturbed before evidence was properly collected. Critical details may have been lost in those first crucial hours. This wasn't just a murder case. It was a case about invisibility. A child who existed in the margins, never documented, never reported missing because no one knew he was supposed to be anywhere. The systems built to protect children, to track their births and their movements, failed him before he ever ended up in that box. And even in death, the systems failed him again. 400,000 flyers, national television coverage, decades of investigation. Not one person who knew him came forward. Some investigators believe he was the child of an undocumented family. Others think he was born to a mother in crisis who hid the pregnancy. One theory suggests he was part of a black market adoption that went wrong. But none of these theories explain the most haunting detail. His hair had been cut after death. His nails had been trimmed. Someone took the time to prepare him, as if for a burial, as if, in the end, they cared. And yet they left him in a box on the side of a road, 15 feet from the pavement. They found him in a cardboard box, a boy with no name, no family, no record of ever existing. Decades later, he's still in the ground in Philadelphia, still unidentified, still waiting. How does a child live for 4 years without leaving a single trace? The Unsolved Vault. New cases every week.